Hey guys, welcome to the show. It's October, which, as you know, is my favourite time of year. Why? Because everything turns creepy in the lead up to Halloween and it's the perfect time to be watching horror movies. So, with that in mind, I thought I'd get you into the mood for the freaky festivities by starting the month off accordingly with what I think is a great wee horror movie. So I'm going to go do that.
You do that? I'll stay here and make spooky sounds.
Okay, so, do you know what really gets my goat? When an awesome movie comes out that doesn't seem to get the love and or attention that it deserves, or at the very least the level of appreciation that I want to give it. The Autopsy of Jane Doe from 2016 is exactly one of those movies. Now, if you're like me and hate to be told too much before getting into a movie, then fear not, because I'll be doing my best here to really only tell you what the movie's like, rather than what actually happens. But no spoilers. And I think this is a movie that I really don't want to ruin for you anyway, because as the story unfolds, it pulls you in more and more, and to give you the story right here and now would take away from the overall impact of the movie itself. And I'd hate that. So what is it exactly? Well, the story's in the title here. It's the Autopsy of a Jane Doe. And for anyone unsure of who or what a Jane Doe is, Wikipedia, of all places, tells you that John Doe for men and Jane Doe for women are multiple use names that are used when the true name of a person is unknown or is being intentionally concealed. In the context of law enforcement in the United States, such names are often used to refer to a corpse whose identity is unknown or unconfirmed. So we start with a murder scene investigation at a house in Virginia, where the cops end up finding the dead body of a young woman that's half buried in the basement, which seems to be unrelated to the horrific murders from upstairs. So something's not quite right here. From there she's taken for examination at the local morgue.
Morgue?
Okay, so you might be sitting there thinking, I'm not really a crime scene investigation type of viewer that enjoys things like CSI or Cold Case, that type of thing. But the difference here is the Autopsy of Jane Doe adds a little supernatural seasoning to the mix. It's set over the course of one night in the morgue where we have a father and son team who'll perform the autopsy on this mysterious young woman to hopefully determine her cause of death for the police. Now, warning for people out there with a weak or weaker stomach, because it's quite gruesome and they don't hold back. Pretty much from start to finish. As they perform the autopsy and discuss their findings, they're literally cutting her up to have a look on the inside as part of their investigation. It is an autopsy after all, and I'm not sitting here saying that the gore's intentionally a selling point, because it's not. It's the story that's going to get you. But yeah, it's pretty gnarly. Gnarly.
Interesting. Where did you learn English?
I like that it's set in one location overall with just a few characters. There's something about movies that have got a small cast and are set in one place that I enjoy. I think it's because when this is done right, the story and dialogue are always going to feel more important and have more depth or layers for you to think about and process. The opposite of this being a movie where there's loads of cast, all with their own wee stories to tell, but maybe feels a wee bit thin because the movie doesn't have the time to let each character develop properly. I know there are many exceptions to this rule, but I just think you've got a better chance of getting a feel for a character if they've got more time on screen for you to get to know them.
What's that supposed to mean?
Anyway, speaking of the cast, our father and son team are played by Brian Cox, who you may recognise for 2004's epic Troy, and Emile Hirsch, who I didn't know much about but then discovered he was the guy from that movie Into the Wild. I didn't like it.
How about some coffee, Johnny? No thanks.
But I've got to say, both actors do an excellent job in this movie. Marvellous even. The dynamic between the two is just right for a family working relationship where the father having more experience is trying to teach his son or apprentice the ropes, and the son may be knowing more than the father gives him credit for, or vice versa. Take your pick.
Appears to be.
Subject appears to be in her mid to late 20s.
I like the characters here. You know there's obviously a history being father and son, and this adds plausible alternate meanings to what they say to each other. Quick side note, Brian Cox is awesome in this movie. I mean, he's pretty much awesome in any movie that I've seen him in. But in this, he's particularly good. There's a warmth or a coziness that he gives off, something, I don't know.
Je ne sais quoi.
He just feels really genuine. Anyway, the acting is bang on point from all the cast, and yes, I include the performance of Alwyn Catherine Kelly as Jane Doe in that statement because she's not really got much to work with here, but she's perfect for the role. There's an eeriness about her, a tragic beauty that's fueled by the overall mystery of her background that simply cannot be ignored. And that right there for me, her background, the story, is what keeps me coming back for more and more because as they begin to uncover her injuries, they start to think that something's not quite right. The injuries don't make sense.
It's like finding a bullet in the brain, but with no gunshot wound.
I love how it keeps cutting back to her face as we hear them talking about her. And this is when it starts to get creepy as you look into her eyes and imagine just what the actual fuck happened to her. I think a horror movie's better when it can genuinely make you sad as well as scared, and this movie has that ability, no question. I'd actually go as far as to say that that's my favourite thing about it. Whether it's what it actually shows you or what's simply implied, it leaves its mark on you. And that there is where I stop telling you any more about this movie directly because the whole story with its twists and turns deserves your attention, and I really do think you'll like it if you just give it a chance. It's filmed really well, the location is obviously gruesome being set in a morgue, but it doesn't feel cliched. The music that's used slots into the scenes effortlessly and really adds another layer of emotion, be it fear or even pity in some cases. It's also one of those movies where a horrifying scene is not accompanied by fittingly frightening music, but with a song that shouldn't fit the moment in theory. And not only does it work, it's very, very well done. You'll know it when you hear it.
Listen. You smell something?
Overall, I highly recommend this movie. When I first watched it, I was enjoying it before the story was even slightly revealed. And man oh man, what a story it is. In my world, which granted is ridiculous, The Autopsy of Jane Doe is not a movie that you watch frequently, like multiple times a year. You watch it maybe once a year, but enjoy every second that it has to offer. If you've got the stomach for it, it's 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. Fine Halloween fun. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching guys. Take care and remember...
Should be furious!
I'm Dar.